Hey guys, and welcome to Dinger Ball. Today we're talking about the top trends from the 2010s and what we might be seeing in this upcoming decade. Here's a little clip. I think Shohei Ohtani, going back to the Angels, not Mike Trout, could be MVP.
Before I glance at the sun, and I've been waiting for the world to spin my way. I've been waiting for a chance, and I think it's finally come. 'Cause after all, I don't care what they do, and I don't care what they know, and I don't care what they say about me now. 'Cause no one can touch me now. I'm just flying by.
All right, today on Dinger Ball, we're going to be talking about the trends and the players of the decade. So, to start this out a little bit, we're going to recap some of the trends from this past 10 years of MLB action. But first, I'm with Jacob Hennessy. How's it going, Jacob?
It's going well, Logan. Just kind of looking forward to wrapping up the decade. We'll actually be together for the end of the decade, which will be interesting because we haven't done a lot of episodes together, and that'll be our second one actually being able to do together next weekend, which will be kind of cool. But very excited to talk about baseball, and obviously it was a hell of a decade.
It really was. There was a lot of ups and downs. You had a lot of really cool moments in the World Series. I mean, my favorite was David Freese. I mean, bias showing once again, but that was a great World Series. Do you have a favorite World Series?
Which one do you think it was, dude? 100 plus years. Can't get it done. That ground ball to Chris Bryant. Fires across the infield. Anthony Rizzo catches it, put in the back of his pocket. Cubs win the World Series. That was the highlight of this decade. I mean, you can't say enough. That's just, I don't care if you are not a Cubs fan. That's got to be at least one of the top World Series of all time at this point. Just
Electrifying is the right word, because Grandpa Ross, man. Grandpa Ross.
Oh, Grandpa Rossi, he's back in Chicago too. That's a great way to end the decade. Is welcome to Grandpa back. I like that one too. But obviously that's a very exciting moment, and this is not just me as a fan of the Cubs saying this, but I think most people would agree that fan base deserved that to get a World Series. It's been long enough, and they've been really loyal.
The real question is over under another decade before they win a World Series.
I want to say under, but I think it's kind of a toss up of how the front office handles bringing in young talent again, because obviously our farm system isn't the best. You got the top player is a stud. Nico Hoerner is a stud.
Who's good?
And I believe there's another guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there's a catcher. He's in the top 50 overall. He's pretty good. But with Wilson Contreras, you can't be playing both of them at the same time. So I think it really depends on how they fill in after those two guys. But that's going to be a question that's going to be answered here in the next couple of years, honestly.
I just want to remind Cubs fans of what they don't have anymore, just for fun, that they traded away Eloy Jimenez, Dylan Cease. They traded away also Jorge Soler, and also Gleyber Torres. Imagine a team with those guys instead of the rentals they got, because I believe they traded Aroldis and
they got Aroldis for Gleyber.
Yeah, they got him, and then they got Wade Davis for Jorge, and then Quintana for Cease, and also Eloy.
The only one that is annoying to me was the Aroldis Chapman one. That was the worst one for me. I actually like the Quintana trade, because I think that was a good return. I think Quintana is a stud. I think he's a big help to that rotation, and he's kind of going to be a piece. He's still there. I mean, I think they have another 2 years of club control with him. He's a very solid left-handed starter. That was one I wasn't as upset about. The Aroldis Chapman one hurts because all he did was, blow the World Series game. So, there was no point in going out and getting him at this point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. I think it's kind of stupid, some of the trades they made. And I think it's going to put them in the position where they're not going to be the best Chicago team these next 10 years.
I don't know about 10, because a lot of things can change really quickly. But at least at the beginning of the decade, they will not be the better team in Chicago, I believe, just based on the farm system. Unless some crazy stuff happens over the next couple of years, that White Sox team looks dangerous.
I wouldn't count the South Side team out for anything.
I
They
also
are
wouldn't count the Cubs
good.
out for anything. They still have Javier Baez at shortstop.
It's just some of their moves they made later or earlier on are now coming back and impacting them, I feel like, in a negative way. And I feel like that's something that might be detrimental to them in the future, going ahead these next 10 years. Who do you think the team of the next 10 years will be?
It's hard to sit here and not say the Yankees, just based on the fact that they now have a guy that you know is going to be dominant for years to come in Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is a stud. And now he's in the now he's with his favorite team growing up. You saw this stupid sign he had, which made me start turning on Garrett Cole in the first place. But yeah, they can pay whoever they want. They're always going to be a dominant team. And I think kind of the dark horse is the Chicago White Sox is kind of the dark horse because yeah, like they've all these signings, but they haven't proven anything yet. So they need to show something before you can sit here and say they're going to be the most dominant team.
I completely agree with your point about Garrett Cole. I think that he's going to be a big factor for the Yankees, especially with some of his fastball velocity. I mean, he's elite in that category. He also has an elite fastball spin rate. So I think that he's going to help them lead into a better place, I guess, this next season, even though they were in the ALCS. And in all reality, they could have won that series if they just played a little bit better. So I think he's going to be the difference maker, kind of, in that whole entire pitching staff. And also you have Siriano coming back too, who's going to be hopefully at full health. And you're going to have two aces at the top of that with James Paxton, who could be an ace. And that is a really, really big factor
Yeah,
coming up for these next 10 years.
I forgot my other dark horse. Tampa Bay on the back of Charlie Morton, baby.
Love it.
The only reason why is Charlie Morton's going to lead them to the promised land. It's going to happen. He needs it. It's the Cash and Morton show down there in Tampa.
He could. I just think my team in the next 10 years, if I had to pick one, I think the Angels. I think the Angels somehow figure it out. I mean, you have a manager now who is a competent manager. You have Mike Trout. I mean, our daily Mike Trout quote on him, how great he is, but he really is great. I mean, he's one of the best hitters in baseball, and you can see that. And he's also very athletic. He has one of the top sprint speeds in the game, and he also gets on base a lot, which you can see in his weighted on base percentage. So I think that he is a difference maker alone, and now you have a friend for him at third base in Anthony Rendon, and Anthony Rendon is no slouch of his own. So you have two guys who can commingle one another, and they can kind of lead a team together, and they're going to be dangerous for the next, I think, 5 years. They're going to be real dangerous. And then also you have Shohei, and Shohei is the wild card, I think, for that team. And if he comes back to the way he was, he throws at the velocity he was, he has the same pitch repertoire, and he's throwing at the same control level and everything. You have an ace and also a star hitter on that team, and I think that they're really tough. And I think the Astros started going downhill because of all their scandals, but that's just me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Obviously, I made my prediction weeks ago. I'm still sticking with it. 2020 World Series champions, LA Angels. They are a very solid team, and this was even before the Rendon signing. Like that is a dangerous baseball team, and they're gonna have to. I mean, they're gonna have to prove to a lot of people just how good they can be. But I mean, that just looking statistically, with all the guys they have now, they got some guys that are gonna be able to put up numbers in a hurry, and that's kind of terrifying to think about. I guess the last dark horse because I kind of feel like we need to pick someone from the NL too because there is going to be an NL World Series champion some point in time during what
The
is it
2020s.
2020s or
2020s, yeah.
geez that
I'm
feels weird to say. I was gonna say like 23rd century or something like that. Is that what it is? 22nd
not
century?
yet. We're getting it's not. We're getting there. I think the Dodgers do it
No, I
in the
was gonna say
2020s.
Cincinnati Reds.
That just makes me want to throw up inside.
I don't want to say it, but I mean, all the moves they're making some really smart moves. They're signing some very good players, and they're looking poised to make a run at it here in the next couple of years.
You know who's not going to be anywhere near the playoffs for the next 5 years? Pittsburgh. Just,
Every time they can make the worst possible business move, that is the
they
move
do.
they make. Think about it. Chris Archer, that was a horrible pickup. That was a horrible trade.
Awful.
Who did they
Trading
trade? They
away Garrett
traded to
Cole.
Tampa. Shoot, it was the
Austin
guy that was
Meadows.
tipping pitches in.
Austin Meadows.
Yeah, Meadows, and they were also the other starter,
Um,
Glasnow.
yeah, Glasgow.
Like
Why?
what?
Why?
Like
Why?
you just traded a near because I think this was what 2 years ago, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Glasnow was a full time starter last year.
Yep.
Like you traded a near ready MLB starter who is actually going to be a top tier starter. He's going to be very good for Tampa. And a basically MLB ready outfielder, DH, whatever you want to use him for, he could probably do it for a declining starting pitcher. Like that was just
Yep.
dumb. And then you also traded away
Tough.
Garrett Cole.
Tough.
Like, and I don't think I can't tell you a single guy they got back for Garrett Cole if I'm being honest. So it probably
They got
wasn't that great.
somebody who starts, but he's not very good. I don't remember.
Was it
And just the fact that I don't remember,
Moran?
I don't know. I honestly don't remember because that deal was bad.
Yeah.
And Garrett Cole got revived down in Houston, and he turned into a savage. And now he's playing with some savages.
All right, easy there, Aaron Boone.
Just quoting him, quoting the great man himself. And I'm going to go shift this to the players a little bit, and a dark horse for a player who might be MVP of this next decade and might actually be MVP in the next couple of years. I think Shohei Ohtani, going back to the Angels, not Mike Trout, could be MVP. You give him a full season under his belt. What could he do, man? Think about it. You could have a guy who could go out to the mound and he could possibly win at least, I'll say, over 10 games. He can win over 10 games, have under a 4 ERA. And then you also have a guy who has top level exit velocity. He has top level hard hit percentage. He has top level sprint speed. He has top level on base average, weighted on base average. And then you look at it too, and he's not a bad fielder. And everything about him is just good. So would we possibly see a two-way player become an MVP just because of the fact he could be a well above average hitter and then also a well above average pitcher and lifts his team into the playoffs?
If that player is Shohei Ohtani, I think we'll see it. Because I mean, he is a top level talent. You saw what he did with the bat, and we've seen what is possible on the mound. He's not always the same guy on the mound. Which if he can become the same pitcher all the time, kind of like most top starters are, that is a deadly combination. The only question I have is with the Tommy John surgery, do you let him play the outfield anymore? Because I don't think they will. I think he'll be an outfielder only when they're
Yes.
in a National League park. I think he'll be DHing every game when they're in the American League, and if they have to go to the National League, that's the only time he'll play outfield because you don't want to risk it with that amount of money you've invested and the fact that he is going to be honestly he might be your number one starter next year. Like you don't want to risk him getting injured.
But then, yeah, the issue with Pujols and where do you put
Pujols
Pujols?
can play first.
But
We're fine.
I think that you,
I'd rather have Pujols playing first base and his old self at first base as opposed to sticking one of my top level guys on the mound in right field and risk who has had Tommy John surgery and risking him blowing his arm out again and losing him for another year or potentially the rest of his career.
I think I have a solution to that, though. I believe that if after the days he starts, you put him at DH, obviously. You don't let him go out in the field. But the next day, you could put him out in left field or something and just shelter him out
You
there.
want him to punt the ball in, like
Yes.
bench
I mean,
warmers it?
hopefully. A full soft toss the ball in, do a John Lester, do whatever you have to do to get that ball into the infield. If you're a pitcher and you're well conditioned enough, I think that you should be fine. As long as you don't do the day after, everything should be okay. And I think that's why they're going to be a little bit more cautious with him because he's so valuable. They don't want to risk that elbow again because if you risk that elbow, then you have another Tommy John, and that's another year and a half that he's out from pitching. And I would almost venture to say that's his best asset, is his pitching ability. So, do you want to lose another year and a half of pitching just for the fact of him playing the field again? I would say no. That's not really worth it. So, I do agree with you on the DH fact, but I do think that as time goes on, we're going to see him play in two ways, and he's going to be in the game a
And
lot.
he's going to play 162 games next year. That's going to happen. He will play in 162 games. But I think maybe probably like 25 to 30 of those will be starts on the mound, and then the rest of them will be as a designated hitter. He's going to be a two-way player. He's going to hit. He is going to pitch. That is going to happen. But I think that his best solution for the Angels, especially with the talent they have in the outfield already. I mean, obviously, Mike Trout can run down damn near anything. Upton's a pretty solid fielder. He's his bat is extremely declining. Right field isn't nearly as important. You can find someone to play right field as long as if they have a you just gotta find someone that's a good bat, and that's it. And then you can leave him at DH and don't risk it at all. Because that man is the future of your pitching staff. That is the guy that is going to be, if you get in a huge game, you need to win it. That's going to be the guy you're going to give the ball to. So you don't want to risk him playing right field in during the regular season for what you're going to be needing him for in the postseason.
And see, that kind of brings me back to a point that I saw on MLB Network talking about how the amount of complete games just from 2010 to this past decade has gone down. I think that's interesting to see the fact of how people are more preventative with their star pitchers. That you're not going to see a guy go out there and chuck over 200 innings, and if that guy does, he's worth a lot more. AKA Garrett Cole. He's one guy who you could look at saying that. I would even say Madison Bumgarner should have been more valuable for the amount of innings he
Oh,
could provide a
Bumgarner's a
team.
horse.
But
No pun intended to the fact he owns horses in Arizona.
I mean, still, and then on Twitter we talked about him and Max Scherzer in a fight, and I have to throw that in here right
Oh,
now.
Mad
Who do
Bum
you
is
have in a
taking
fight?
it easy. That dude is Scherzer's an animal. He's psychotic. He's got that crazy side. But I mean, Madison Bumgarner, he's just a farm boy. Like he's just a good old boy, and he will whoop some butt. And he's a bigger man than Scherzer. He is bigger. That is a beefy man. He would easily win that fight.
Scherzer broke his nose during the season, and then he went back out to pitch anyway because he didn't care. I think that Scherzer wins. I
No
think that
way.
Scherzer would win, man. I think Scherzer, dude, it's all mindset. The mindset out there, and then ultimately, I think they're both really good now because, honestly, they both have World Series rings. Madison Bumgarner had a little bit more to do, but think about it. The man revived Scherzer. He revived from the dead in the World Series. He couldn't even lift a shirt over his head, and then he went on to compete in the game after that and pitch somehow. I don't know. That's just incredible that he was able to do that because I know I felt that before, but I think that he was in a tremendous amount of pain, and I think that he could have gave up and it had been fine, but I think he's a trooper, and I think he's way tougher than people think, and I would be willing to put money on him in a fight. Kind of going on another topic too, the home runs went up 46% over this past decade compared to 44% in the steroid era, which was the largest before this one. And also another thing was swing and misses went up 34% over this past decade. I think those two are correlated as people are changing their approach and they're saying, "Oh, I'm going to try to hit more home runs and I'm going to try to do this," and changing the way the baseball is played. As pitchers are better, so you have to wait for a mistake pitch. So I think it's both pitchers and hitters getting better.
I think the home runs are on hitters getting better. First off, people are a lot stronger than they were whatever 20, 30, 40 years ago. We know how to work out better. We know how to better train your body to be successful. That it's just human nature. It's going to continue happening, and the people 20 years from now are going to be stronger than we are today, and it's going to keep happening and keep happening. And then the swing and also launch angles helps that as well. Obviously, people are learning to use like technology. And if I hit a ball at this plane and this much velocity, it's going to get out. It's going to leave X number of parks in the American League, X number of parks in the National League. It's going to get out regardless of the wind. All that other stuff is going to be a factor. And then swing and misses, it's just because some of these pitches that we're seeing today are just absolutely filthy. Like you sit there and you watch on TV or in real life or whatever, and it's scary to watch. And I'm not even in the box trying to figure out what's coming at me and where it's going to end up. Like some of those sliders, curveballs, changeups, like I don't understand how you hit them. But if it's in the zone, you got to take a chance at it. That's going to increase the swing and misses as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing that has been going on, and people are designing pitches now. And that's something that really shouldn't be going unknown, and that should be something that we're going to be seeing going on in the future. The people are going to start designing what they're doing. So you're going to have pitchers designing their sliders so it gets a higher spin rate, and it also is more effective, so it looks more like their fastball, and they can tunnel it more effectively. And all those together will make the pitch look more like a fastball and make it look less like what it is, and it'll increase the deception, so you're going to have batters guessing more. And those are the kind of pitches that you see, and most average people out there are like, oh, why are they swinging at a ball that is 5 feet outside? Let me tell you right now, that pitch looked like a fastball coming out of the pitcher's hand, and then that ball just broke. It broke 3 feet in lateral motion just to go outside of the zone and dart that way. You can't ever guess it. You have to just do a split second. I believe that there's like a 0.4 second reaction time. You have to decide if you're going to hit the ball or not. And it's almost miraculous that most hitters can even hit the ball, let alone be able to hit home runs and do all these other things. So just on top of that, and then pitchers are designing their pitches like it's something that you can just create. Now, I think it's going to be incredibly hard for these hitters over the next 10 years, and there's going to be a lot of adjusting going along with it, and we're going to be seeing baseball change a lot more than it fundamentally has over the past, probably 20,
No,
30
I
years.
totally agree. It's gonna continue to change with the use of technology increasing and everything else like that as well. The other thing that I thought was interesting was it's really a new trend because you didn't really see it back in the day. I mean, occasionally you could see like guys shading, but there's been a lot of shifts being used in the MLB this year. Like even for guys where uh back in the day you wouldn't expect a shift on a guy like that, where he's just an average hitter. Yes, he hits the ball out of the park a lot. Like Chris Bryant. He sprays it in the gaps occasionally, but he's primarily a pull hitter. And you see a huge shift on that because they're banking on the odds that he's going to pull it. Whereas back in the day, you probably wouldn't see as much of a shift on him, and that's just going to be it's going to become a part of this game. It's going to become a part of baseball now.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a fine line though, because you're going to have moments when you can really pitch to the shift. If you're a pitcher and you know that your defense is shifted to that direction, I think that even the best hitters would fall trap to that and be susceptible to it. I mean, you have Mike Trout at the plate and you're pummeling like inside fastballs and you're just pummeling it inside where you're almost forcing him to hit it down the third baseline. I mean, more than likely he's probably going to hit it that way unless he really, really tries to like lay
Yeah,
a
but
bunt
he's
down or
Mike
something.
Trout, so he's going to beat it. It's okay. It's Mike Trout. He's going to hit it down the line for a triple or over everybody.
Exactly, but I mean, like you'll have the first baseman chilling over there, but like 96-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside
No, he's going to
corner.
pull it down the third baseline for a
There's not
triple. I
much you
don't know what
can
you're talking about going down the first baseline. He's just going to beat the shift.
pull it down there. Beat the shift. I don't know. That's a interesting trend that we're gonna have to keep up on, and I don't know if we're gonna see regulations on that.
I would like to almost because, like, I don't know. I'm not as huge of a fan of the shifts. Like, I get the trends or that like it's gonna happen, but I don't know. Like, it just seems like a bit much when you have like everybody sitting on one side of the field. Like that's I just feel like it's dumb.
A lot of people don't understand it. I mean, being a baseball player, I completely
I don't have to
understand.
like it though.
But I mean, I don't. Yeah, we don't have to like it. But I think the biggest clue that it's not okay is the fact that I'll bring somebody to the game who's like never watched a baseball game before or really hasn't paid attention to baseball very much, and they'll ask me and they'll be like, "What are they doing? Why is the third baseman on that side of second base? Why is he doing that? Like he's leaving that side of the field open." And you have to describe like, "Well, this hitter doesn't hit it there ever, so he's not gonna hit it there, I guess." And they're trying to bet that he's just going to pull the ball, and they're pitching to the shift, which makes it more effective. And it's almost like a cheat code because you have some guys. I think Chris Davis has kind of fallen to it a little bit. He's also fallen to the strikeout bug, but that's another story. But he's kind of one of those guys. He's not going to really hit it opposite field anymore. He used to have a little more power at opposite field, but not as much recently. And you're going to see it where it's kind of that fine line where do you stop it? And is it okay? And that's a lot of things in baseball right now that the commissioner has to deal with. And he has to just make a call on what he thinks.
At the end of the next decade, we can sit here and have a conversation about how the shift ended, or how this shift conversation ended up.
We can. Or we won't even be talking about it anymore.
We're gonna probably talk about it.
Yeah, we probably
to be
will.
honest, there's probably still gonna be shifts in baseball. It might be like you have to have like I think one rule that I wouldn't be surprised if you see it is you have to have a certain number of people on the infield on each side of second base, something like that maybe, where you can do a shift, but like your second baseman still has to be on the second baseman side of the base.
Yeah. I can see something happening around there saying you can't do this. There's like certain limitations to it. You can only do like 10 shifts in a game. Or I don't know. Like
I don't think they're going to do something like that because, I mean, that would just be too hard to calculate all that stuff out. And it would just be easier to just say you have to have two guys on a specific side of the base. That would be the easiest way to do it.
Robo umpires.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started. Have you seen some of the calls that some of these robo umpires make? They're horrible. Like, there's ones where the catcher goes down and blocks it. But just because it's a huge spin rate curveball, like it ticked the bottom of the strike zone. Like, that's embarrassing. Like, that should not be a strike.
All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And we're obviously going to see all these trends over the next 10 years, and it's going to be interesting to see where we end up. But we'll have to see over the course of these next 10 years what really truly happens. But I think that's a good place to wrap this episode up right now and kind of lead on to our next episode where we're going to talk about the top players of the decade, and we're going to have a live draft. So make sure everybody follows that, and we're going to release it in the next couple days. So make sure you're following that. And once again, thank you to everybody who listens, and make sure to follow our YouTube page, our Anchor page, and Twitter, and all the whole entire gambit. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify Music, and there's a few other ones that we're also on. A note on YouTube that we'll be posting all of our episodes live on there, and also we're going to start posting videos after the next part of the year, and we really hope that you guys can go ahead and follow that, like and subscribe, and just thank you once again. Till next time.
Yeah, I'm just flying by away from them, and no one can see me now. I'm miles above you, don't care what they're seeing below, 'cause I'm miles above, I'm miles above you. Above you.